before, as you're tying your leaf sticks on, one end tied, is that your cross will end up getting flipped over like this, and we don't want that to happen. We want it to look just like this, okay, so that when you come in here and you look at the center, nothing is flipped over, and everything can be separated out in a very even manner. The second thing you want to do is you want to make sure you have a slip knot tied in here, because this is going to be your point of tension to pull everything, to make sure that nothing ends up pulling out of whack or getting tangled. Last thing you're going to do is you're going to tie up your other end of the leaf stick. Now you can go through the holes first, okay, and then you can take a little bit extra that's a little bit loose. Let's see if that goes through. There we go. And you can loop it around a couple times so that it really holds it secure. This one wants to scoot around a little bit. This one wants to stay secure. Now, this is just extra warp on here. I'm going to try to do a short warp, so that's why we don't want to use that entire thing. So we're going to do this from one to the next. This one happens to already have been cut, but what you would essentially do is you're going to be tying up your beater. You tie the front, one side to the tassel, the other side to the front right here, okay? And you want it to stand straight up. That way it's going to end up not moving around on you a lot and being accessible. So what you're going to do is if this, say this is pulled down here, it's not enough to go past the beater, you're going to end up pulling this, always holding your knot, pulling it up so it goes past. One of the common mistakes is to pull it one side, okay, and then cutting it, but you can see if you cut it, that would end up creating two uneven lengths, okay? If you have a knot here, remember, hold on and start just combing it through, working it back and forth, and it'll even itself back out, okay? So set that down. The next thing you want to do is that you want to end up finding the center of your warp and measuring over either the right to the left so that you can have the width of your warp. You can actually start, and by the time you finish denting, your warp's going to end up in the middle. Every one of you are going to have a different width because of the project. So you want to make sure that if your width is 10 inches, you find the center, you measure over 5. If it's 14 inches, you measure over 7, okay? And either right or left, just depending on which way you want to start, okay? This is 2.5 inches so that we can get this thing done. Let's see, and then I'm going to go ahead and measure to the center. Okay, 20 inches right here. 2.5 inches, so I'm going to measure over 1.25 inches. Just make sure that's 40. Okay. And then I'm going to start on this side. Now, I'm kind of glad that the warp is doing this because this is something that comes up a lot of times in terms of your questions. You notice that this isn't completely over and under, and so when we've always talked about what goes first, second, third, you want to be able to pull something and nothing comes out in front of it. So say I thought this was the first one to go in, it wouldn't, because we end up having something that's moving alongside of it, okay? With this, it doesn't matter. The whole point of having your cross is so that you have a sense of essentially what comes first and second. It doesn't cross around itself. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start with this because I measured over to the right side. I'm going to start with the right side and put it in. Also notice that I'm just keeping this right between the knees just so I can have some tension. So every time I pull it, it's not going to pull like this. Okay, so you always want to kind of have a little bit of tension wherever you can. So we're going to go ahead, reed hook. You guys have seen this before. Okay. Okay, and we're going to go through. Now, how much time do we have?
Oh, yeah, 4 minutes.
Okay, so let's do a pause, and I'm going to go ahead and... Lord, I can't see today. That way you're not having to always go back. So little tricks, 2 or 3 at a time sometimes. Just slide in between your fingers. What shall we make with this now that it's going to be on?
About a thank you scarf for the
anonymous donor?
Oh, already, Amy gave me another scarf, and it's beautiful.
Okay.
Thank goodness. And I did little cards as well. Of what? Oh, baleen whales, yeah.
Well, like the filter things.
Well, Liam went through his whale phase, so those are actually called baleen, just so you know. It's a little frightening, the amount of things I know. Baleen whales. They're the non-toothed whales.
Yes.
They filter their food.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
I know an obscene amount about reptiles, and as a little side note, because we're at the end of the semester, so I'll tell you more stuff about my life. Liam wanted a lizard cake, and not just a lizard cake, he wanted a blue-tailed skink.
Well, good for him.
And so, have y'all seen Still Magnolias?
Yes.
Armadillo cake. I thought it was only appropriate that
That's so
that when you cut into the blue-tailed skink, it was red velvet.
So that's right.
Oh, it turned out great. It was fun to ask the kids if they wanted some, they wanted a lizard tail. You could cut into it. It was lovely and red.
That's really funny.
You should get them a crested gecko.
What is a crested gecko?
They're one of the easiest lizards to maintain because
Oh, really?
they don't require extra heat.
Mm-hmm.
Their natural climate temperature is between 65 and 78.
But then,
And that's the normal temperature in your house, yeah.
but then Liam's gonna go door to door trying to sell insurance to people, carrying this little gecko
They're
with
so
them.
cute. They have eyelashes.
Oh dear. I
I
don't
And
want
they're
another
very
animal.
sweet. And they're, I used to have a bunch of them,
Oh really?
but they
How long
eat
do they live?
fruit. So you don't even have to feed them crickets. You just get this
Okay.
crested gecko diet, you mix water in it, and that's what they eat.
Interesting. Well, maybe that is something. He's got to learn how to take better care of his fish.
Just
Good
don't
stuff.
get a boy and a girl because they breed like rabbits. You don't have to.
But I
do
bet
anything.
little baby geckos might be cute.
So they're all over the
For a
house.
while.
They are really cute.
Okay, done. So, there we go. Let me borrow your threading, just so we can have a more complex one. Okay.
Am I ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Borrowing Allison's. Yay! Okay, so let's go ahead and come to the back. I'm just going to scoot up this. Real quick. And be threading that. Y'all are used to that. You're going to roughly count out how many you need. I need about 30, so I don't need as many petals. So I'm going to be pushing them to the side, just getting them out of the way. Now, again, first thing is make sure I have enough length. If I feel like I do, great. If not, we're going to be pulling it up. Always making sure that you are looking from the back and holding that knot. And then once you get the length you need, undo your knot and tie it right to the back of your leaf sticks. And that way you can pull it as tight as you want. There you go. You can pull it as tight as you want. And it makes a beautiful line from here all the way up. Now I'm going to kind of just follow Allison's right here. I'm going to start on her right side. She's going to have to figure out her repeat and where she starts and stops. But I'm essentially going to do about 4 or 5 of these, maybe about 10 of these. And I'm going to show you how to tie it on the back bar as a reminder. I need to get my other hook, which is on the bench. Okay, and I always like to, with complex patterns, to pull out sequences. Okay, so there's one. You can also, once you kind of get used to how to do this, you can pull out multiple at once. So notice I'm not going back and forth all the time. Okay, then we have a 2 and a 1, and then we have a 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I'm going to pull out my sequence just so I know where I'm at. I can pull out 2 as I want, keep them between my fingers. And so I'm not diving back up and back all the time. Again, you want to make sure that you're not taking anything out of order. I'm not dipping over here to get one from a dent that's back here, because that's going to start crossing things. Once you get a nice sequence of them, go ahead and tie it off. I'm going to do the sequence one more time and show you guys how to put it onto the back of your bead. Okay? So we've got this here, sequence-wise. Okay, always kind of remember and make sure you can see if you've got the right dent first, second, third. Make sure as well these things don't start wrapping around each other. If these are too short, they're going to wrap around and they're going to pose problems. Okay? 2, 1. And then 3, 2, 1. Okay? So again, notice that I'm not going back and forth all the time to pull these up. And this might be worth just y'all checking out every now and then to see how you can be more efficient with your time. Also making sure that as you're pulling this through that the heddle's sitting right, that you're not pulling it in through the heddle at an awkward angle. Okay, so that gets us a pretty nice sequence. I've got about half of my work done. As a reminder as well, if you're doing a wider warp, you want to make sure that your hooks are out. And then your heddles are coming parallel to where your dent is. That we're not having this happen, okay, or this happens because of the hooks down here. You want to make sure everything comes straight out. Next step is we're going to lift up. We're going to check the bar back here. Okay, you want to make sure that everything looks nice when you pull it out, is as even as it can be for a 30-year-old loom. And then we're going to see how much we need to either pull this in here or up there so that this wraps around and ties to it with as little waste as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and press my brake from back here and just kind of scoot it up a little bit. Take 1-inch sections, it's usually easiest to work. Split it apart, over, around, and up, and tie it on top. Now I'm going to show you that one more time. Okay? So let me show you one more. And then I'm going to do something real quick. Okay. Split it. Over, under, to the sides, and tie on top. Now one of the things that we're trying to get used to here in doing, two things. One thing I'm going to show you first is we're going to check everything. Okay, so let me go ahead and over here we're going to take these out. You look on the board, it's got a little check, your work right before you wind it on. So you're going to make sure everything's tight, and I'm going to press A, and I'm going to look. Oh look, there's a mistake. What do we do? Okay, this is easiest fixed right now before you wind it on. Let me check B to see if there's anything else that comes up. Nope. So you identify it. Okay, it happens to be right here. And then you're going to figure out, oh wait, they got wrapped around each other. You're going to come back, undo it, and tie it back on. A lot of you guys may have had this happen, and when you get to the front of your loom before fixing it, it is very bad problem. So while we've got it untied, the one other thing we want to make sure to do, so let me fix my mistake first. You can go back and slide each one individually, making sure you realize which one comes first and second. Okay, I see my mistake. It got wrapped around, so it's still in order. I'm going to let go through. Since this is my selvage over here, and we've gotten used to doing floating selvages, all you want to do is let's go ahead, and you can do this before or after you start working with your heddles, is we're going to let one just kind of float on the left side and the right side. Okay? And again, it's going to get tied on like this, over, under, to the sides, and tie on top with a knot. If you don't do a knot, then this is going to slip out at the end. And then you're going to do this all the way across. So imagine it's through the heddles. Okay, you can pretend. Comb it out. Now notice everything's parallel. Wherever this needs to go, this little tie happens to be in the way, I'm just going to work around it. And notice the important part is that everything is parallel, okay? And nothing's being smushed in or out. Okay, so look up and down, you're going to see there's not going to be any mistakes in terms of, other than there's some petals missing. Okay, so everything's going to be really nice and clean all the way up. You're going to let it go, you're going to start combing it, and you're not going to forget to put paper if you don't have a spiked or a sectional beam, okay? So if you're going to be doing this on your own without someone helping, you're going to go here, stand over here. If you have very long arms, you have the ability to hold on to it. If you don't worry about it. You're going to do about a turn. You're going to come back and do a quick pull. You're going to come over here, do another turn. And then right before it starts to hit itself, okay, always give it a nice big pull back. We got our paper that's going to come right in here, okay? So make sure you're always having the paper between anything that's going to hit itself. There we go. And we've got a nice turn, and we're going to keep it going all the way to the front. Now, your biggest thing is to use the tension and use the ability to kind of pop it. And you're going to keep going. You're going to have a paper. I love that. For now. Add it in. And you don't want to let areas come out and sneak out of here without paper between them, because that's going to mess your tension up. And then I'm going to show you really quick on the front for the heading. Notice too, I'm not going to let it wrinkle up. It's still nice and straight. I'm going to do a little reminder of how to do the heading. So let's go ahead and get it wound all the way up. Now it's going to stop right here, so come back here. You're pretty much going to have it stop. And you're going to have these loops here. You don't have to get it this close up. You're going to essentially take, and imagine these are loops, and you cut. And then you're going to use the leaf sticks as a comb and comb them up and out. Okay? Then you can go ahead. I'm not going to take these leaf sticks off, but you normally would. Okay? And then you're going to take your apron bar. The reason I'm not taking it off is I haven't yet tied this secondary one off that I need to save. Okay? And then if this is, again, too long, I'm going to go ahead and just keep winding it a little bit. More than likely you will. You just don't want to wind it too much. It's going to fall through. And this is a really great time to cut these so that your beaver falls to the back and it doesn't get in the way. When you do this, I want you to tie in sections of 1 inch. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit less since this is so small. You're going to go over, under, you're going to slide that knot down about 1 inch, 1.5 inches away, and we're going to do this whole thing consistent throughout. Again, you're seeing this because I went through fast and have not finished up my heddles, which is not what you will be doing, okay? You want them even. Another trick to do this is to, well, if they were on heddles, you'd lift your harnesses, you'd comb through and use it as a comb. Okay, now I'm not going to be able to show you the whole thing, but I'm going to do a reminder. Because these aren't hooked up, it's not going to work as we need it to. But essentially, you're going to be getting a bigger string of cotton, okay, like your 3-2 cotton. You're going to double it up. You're going to tie it straight in front of the first knot. And before you even start leashing this through, okay, you're going to make sure that this is not going to touch the bar. If it touches the bar, you have no tension. You always want this bar to stay in the center, so you advance it up. As long as it's not hitting this front beam, you're fine. And then you need to remember that you press your treadle, that splits it, and it goes through it, over and under, through the next. Now we're going to kind of pretend that this has lifted it up, over and under, through the next. Now you want your shed to be raised, and that's what you're going through. A lot of times you won't, I've seen you guys not lift it and you just split it. And that's not going to get your even tension on it, okay? So you want to make sure it's split. And then you also want to go ahead and tie this. This is all going to come back from memory. And then you're going to be doing your heading, okay? And your heading is simply weaving 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, leaving big loops on the end, beading it as 1, okay? And then you go out and you do the big wings out, beat it out to the side and beat it, and you're good to go from there. If you don't leave the big loops at the beginning, it smushes in the edges and it creates a very uneven, ugly selvage. That should be it. Did I miss anything? Okay, perfect.